In this video, I will show you how the vulnerability detection module in Wazuh they work. But before that, vulnerability detection is pretty easy. Just trust me. But the thing is, you need to understand few things from the Wazuh's perspective so that you can effectively manage the vulnerability detection module. So vulnerability detection module, how it works and what are the terms and conditions for to make the vulnerability module work, that we need to know first. So I just open the Wazuh's documentation from Wazuh's website. It's publicly available, so you can also go and check. Few things we need to know before we go into the vulnerability detection module. So very few things we need to know. How Wazuh collect the vulnerability details. First understand this. So it is written here, the Wazuh agent uses the syscollector module to collect detailed inventory data. So it is the agent who collect the data and send to the Wazuh server. Okay, so what are the things agent sent to the Wazuh manager, Wazuh server? It is the operating system and install packages or applications. So three things. One is operating system, definitely 100%. Agent will send operating system information like the Linux, Windows version, Linux version, those kind of thing. And install package, what are the packages installed, like any application or packages, their version, 100% they will send this to the Wazuh server. This is important to detect the vulnerability. Now the next question is, when this agent send this data to the Wazuh server. So it is written here, the collected data is periodically sent. That means we have configured some periodical, like after every 60 minutes or after every 24 hours, the agent will send this data to the Wazuh server. So we have something in default, maybe we can change this from our configuration file as well. So periodically is the ideal word here. Okay. Now the thing is, next we need to go Wazuh itself. They have a cyber threat intelligence platform, CTI platform, like all the other vulnerability database have, like NVD kind of thing. Wazuh has its own. So vulnerability detection module on the Wazuh server analyze the inventory data which has been sent from the agent to the server. They analyze this data first, okay, and they correlating this vulnerabilities information. So what are the information they are getting from the agent? Now they are correlating this information and they try to match with its threat intelligence platform. So threat intelligence platform is a big database of vulnerability. Wazuh has its own. So now it's try to compare their, like for example, the package version, operating system, package version, package name, and they cross check it with the CTI platform. If anything match found, now it is based on the match, gives an alert, gives a notification, gives a vulnerability report, and they show us that this is a vulnerable thing on this version, particular version. This is how Wazuh works. So now the thing is, for the vulnerability detection, we have two things we can use. One is agent based and agentless. So in NESAs or any other vulnerability applications, vulnerability detection software like OpenVAS, NESAs, Nikto, we have agentless, but Wazuh has agent. So what is the benefit of this? So we can grain down a little bit further, like we can get more information because we have the agent installed, and agent can get all the permission needed to make our system work efficiently and perfectly. But in terms of agentless, we have the visibility of few information we can see, not all the information we can see. So this is the main difference with the NESAs and Wazuh. Not only Wazuh, if we use any vulnerability detection with the agent base, that gives us an extra ability to view, to get information. So now you need to remember these things. So Wazuh is only detect vulnerability based on the signature it has with its vulnerability detection. It is nothing related to the behavior base, because behavior based detection is a different thing, and Wazuh is cross checking the system information, system package information, or any other inventory data with its CTI platform. So now based on the signature, if it is matching, then it is giving us alert. So these things you need to remember. So how it works? First, on my left hand side, the Wazuh agent, they are collecting information, system inventory data, and they send this data to the Wazuh manager, which is a server. the manager, the server, send this information, inventory information to the Wazuh CTI. So based on the inventory data, Wazuh CTI check if anything match found, they send back to the Wazuh manager. Now Wazuh manager has all the information of the vulnerabilities of the inventory. Now it send vulnerability alert to the Wazuh dashboard, and we can now see the alert of vulnerability within our dashboard. This is how the architecture works. Now next thing, vulnerability detection source. So what are the source Wazuh use to detect the vulnerability? Is the first thing first, I already mentioned the Wazuh CTI platform is the first primary thing for the Wazuhs. Apart from that, Wazuh has some other vendor who provide vulnerability information like official feed from operating system vendor and reputable security database. They also get the threat information, and they include this into their CTI platform so that they can correlate and identify the vulnerabilities. So operating system Wazuh support is Alma Linux, Amazon Linux, Arch Linux, Ubuntu Canonical, Debian, Fedora, Oracle Linux, Red Hat Enterprise, Rocky Linux, and SUSE Linux Enterprise. And Wazuh also get threat intelligence from Microsoft System Updates, National Vulnerability Database like NVD, Open Source Vulnerability OSV, and Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency CISA. So, but the problem is here, all these different sources gives information of threat in a different format. So now Wazuh has to maintain a systematic format, maintain a systematic approach to maintain its database. So how Wazuh do these things? So if we go to the vulnerability detector provider, here we can see content migration is one of the feature of the CTI threat intelligence, where Wazuh get fetch all the information, vulnerability information in raw format, raw vulnerability data, right? Wazuh get raw vulnerability data. Remember this. Now Wazuh convert this raw information into common structure language, which is CVE JSON 5 format. So it is now globally understandable, like machine readable format, and definitely from this format Wazuh can identify and detect the vulnerability. This is number one. Number two, data sanitization. Sanitization means maybe the raw data could have some typo mistake, maybe the version name mistake, maybe package name mistake, those kind of thing we can face. So Wazuh sanitize this data by making some necessary changes, by fixing the inconsistencies and make the data ready for conversion. Now third feature of this VDP vulnerability detector provider is the content merging. Content merging is a process combining vendor specific content with internally maintained intelligence data. This includes product name mapping, product translation, and OS based rule. This result in a single unique document for each CVE. That means Wazuh database, Wazuh CTI database has some unique data, and Wazuh is also getting vendor specific content or maybe this content specific vulnerability from a different source. So Wazuh now effectively map all those vulnerability under separate groups, under separate category, or under separate operating system, and maintain a efficient database system for the CTI. This is the way Wazuh do these things. Now the thing is, Wazuh CTI platform is free, completely free. Anyone can access this website. I will show you how you can access this from our vulnerability detection module. Else you can find, if you find this documentation from Wazuh's website, you can directly click on this link to visit this page. It's completely free for public. You don't need to install Wazuh for this, and you don't need to register for this to access this website. Okay, now what you need to know from here, I am not going into CVI ID, CVSS code. Those are the common, whoever is into the domain of cyber security or information security. So I will directly go to the alert generation part, which is very important, how Wazuh generate alert. So the thing is, Wazuh's vulnerability detection module generate alerts when new vulnerabilities are detected or existing vulnerabilities are resolved due to package update, removal, system upgrade. Why it is so? Because sometimes what happen when we have a system which probably our baseline configuration. Now if you uninstall any software or uninstall any package or maybe install any other package, Wazuh detect these changes based on the update, removal or upgrade, and based on that it checks to its CTI platform whether it is a vulnerable or not, and based on that it gives us the alert. This is the way of generating the alert from Wazuh. Now you need to remember this thing: operating system alerts are not generated during initial inventory scan. What does it mean? It means when Wazuh agent sync with the Wazuh manager for the first time. Remember, you just installed a Wazuh server and now you installed a Wazuh agent for the first time into an endpoint. It does not recognize the change of OS version of recent patches as new event. Why it is so? Because whenever we are installing the Wazuh's agent to the system, Wazuh's agent thinks that our system has met the baseline configuration as no changes or removal, upgrade, uninstall, install is detected for the agent. So Wazuh's agent think it's a baseline configuration. From the moment of installation, now it will log the system data, system inventory, and it will send this data to the Wazuh server. So from the after the installation point of view, but not before the installation, it cannot detect. That means the initial stage it does not detect to any changes of OS version or patches. So if you have a vulnerability and you already patched that vulnerability, Wazuh's agent cannot detect that. Okay, so it will detect definitely after installation. So it is also written alert are only triggered in subsequent scan if changes in OS version or patches is still detected. So that means it will detect the vulnerability, detect the remediation after the subsequent scan, not the initial scan. This is the main point from here. Now if we need to view the vulnerability data, we have some process how we can navigate through the vulnerability data. We need to click on the hamburger menu. I will show you definitely, and from that we need to go to the threat intelligence. From the threat intelligence we have to go to the vulnerability detection. We have another way to go to this is to click on the endpoint, and after that you need to go to the vulnerability detection module. So there we have two options. One is the inventory, one is the inventory tab. This is the inventory tab where all the vulnerability detected on the specific Wazuh's agent. Okay, so now the thing is we have another tab which is called event. This shows the alert generated for vulnerability detected on Wazuh's agent. An alert is generated when vulnerabilities are detected and remediated. So in the event section we also can see the detected vulnerabilities on Wazuh's agent, and if we are remediated the vulnerability, that means we are mitigating the vulnerability by using any patch or upgrading the system, it will show that remediation steps as well, and the status will show here like active or solved. Active means the vulnerability is still in present, and solved means we mitigated that vulnerabilities, we remediated that vulnerabilities. Apart from that, certain other information like detection, timestamp, severity levels, package names and version, Wazuh will show us by default, but definitely we can customize column as per our requirement. This is all about vulnerability detection. So this is some definition of CVE, description, rule, package. But the thing is, basically you don't need to configure anything for the vulnerability detection. It is all configured in our system, except one thing you can configure, which is the scanning duration. By default it is 60 minutes. After every 16 minutes Wazuh agent will send this data to the Wazuh server. So I think 60 minutes is pretty good for everything. We don't need to configure it to like for 24 hours or every minute. It is not necessary at all. But definitely if you want to change this, you need to go to the same Wazuh's configure file, osec.configure file, and you need to change the duration from the either from the agent or either from the manager. So without wasting time, let's go now to the Wazuh dashboard. So we are into the Wazuh's dashboard now. So I will click on the active here, active endpoints. Now I have Windows 10 is switch on now already, so I'll click on that, and after that we need to just next to the more tab we can have some menus, and I will click on the vulnerability detection menu here. So I will redirect to the vulnerability dashboard. So this is the beautiful dashboard of Wazuh, of graphical dashboard. So here we can see the it is segregated. The vulnerabilities are segregated by categories, severities like critical, high, medium, low, pending. By default we can see all of them. If we click on the high here, let's click on the high, it will only show the high severity vulnerabilities. Similarly with the other kind of vulnerabilities as well. So now we have additional filter here. We can use that same filter for whatever we need. And if we click on the inventory here, all the vulnerability detected of this Windows endpoint, now it will show us. Why it is showing 2? Because I have select the high here, high severity vulnerability. Let's delete this filter. Now let's refresh. So all the vulnerability detected for this endpoint is now showing. So if we click here, maybe one of the inspect element here, there's a lot of option I can show you. What is important things you need to know is, so it is showing us Windows version, Windows host version, what are the package name installed, that is the inventory kind of thing. What are the package name installed, why it is vulnerable, which version, package version is also showing, and it is also showing vulnerability description. This is the vulnerability detection. We can read it later, but the thing is I will show you two information from here. One is vulnerability reference. So reference means the source. How was you getting this source is the support.broadcom.com. So broadcom.com, they provide the package for the VMware. So this is the vulnerability with the VMware, and Wazuh's Broadcom is the vendor. They share this information to the Wazuh, and Wazuh's scanner.reference, vulnerability.scanner.reference is the field for Wazuh CTI platform. If we click here, we can see the vulnerability description and all, how we can remediate these things, all of them I can see. So vulnerability score is also showing 7.1, vulnerability score version 3.1, vulnerability severity is high. And let's click on the CTI platform here. If we click here, it will open a new page. So this is the Wazuh CTI platform, which I am talking earlier. So this is the vulnerability description, VMware AXI workstation. A lot of things is written here. You can go through and read whatever you need to know. And the affected system is also written here. What are the vendor workstation, what are the workstation affected, everything, every information which you need to know is written here. And if there is another link was there, the Broadcom support, this link, if we click here, it will show us the information from the Broadcom. Broadcom is a provider of the VMware. So they are declaring this vulnerability, and how we can fix this vulnerability, definitely we will get from their website. So what are the product will be affected or affected already is written here. What vulnerabilities they have, critical, what are the impacted product, how this vulnerability attacker can get into our system. It's everything is written here with this vulnerability. I think probably the patch also be given here if they have available. Okay, so this is the fixed version thing, VMware product. For the VMware fixed version is, this is the fixed version, that means the updated version, and it is unaffected. So for the same thing, if we can find our product based on the version number Wazuh provided us, like our product name is VMware tools and version 12.4.5.237. what the version is, if we can find this version number here, maybe we get the fixed version, a patch version, so that we can download the patch and install the patch to our system. This is how we can remediate the vulnerabilities within our environment. Now what will happen whenever this version detected a vulnerability, or maybe we are resolving or mitigating this vulnerability, we will get another log from another log will be generated from this event section, where we can see the one is the active, that means this vulnerability is still active within our system. So I have solved one of the vulnerabilities in Microsoft Edge. Now it is saying solved. So So this is the status we can see, but definitely we can customize our column from here, the column section. What are the columns we need? We can add multiple columns from here. 792 available fields are there, so a lot of the fields, if we need, we can click here, or it will show automatically. Maybe the timestamp, let's check the timestamp. Yes, timestamp is showing here. So this is the way we are getting this visual the visibility. Show you which is inspect document, what are the information we have here from the event. The same, more or less all the information we are getting from the inventory here. Some reference things we are getting, the vulnerability references, which is also available on the inventory. So the extra thing we are getting from here is a rule ID, rule label, rule mail, PCI DSS. If we have anything related to PCI DSS or any other compliance related thing, these things we are getting from this vulnerability detection. But the IP address we are also getting, the agent IP address we are also getting. That is a very good thing. But actually the thing is, for the vulnerability detection in Wazuh's model is pretty easy, very straightforward kind of thing. We don't need to configure anything. It's just like, unlike Nessus, Nexpose or Rapid7, or maybe if we have other tools like Nikto, OpenBus, we need to configure a lot of things. But in Wazuh we don't need to configure anything, just it is the plug and play kind of thing. Why we need to configure a lot of things in those vulnerability detection method? Because we are not using agents. That is the one of the main reason. But the thing is, what happened in the industry, if you are going to a company and asking them for the vulnerability detection module, maybe you are not allowed to install any agent to their system. So in that case you cannot use Wazuh. In that case you have to use the Nessus, Rapid7, those kind of thing. And for the Nessus, Rapid7, they have also the SCAP means the security compliance kind of thing. XCCDF, SCAP, they have, you can load their compliance profile and run a compliance scan also, but that will be without installing agent. But for the Wazuh you have to have an agent in your system. So that is the difference between Wazuh, and where you can install and scan Wazuh for the vulnerability detection. Now you need to make this thing distinguish, and you can work out as per your requirement. This is all about the vulnerability detection. Is okay. Now problem. So one of my subscriber, one of my audience, they raised a query, they raised a problem regarding the vulnerability detection mode. So they have tried the vulnerability detection mode, but in the event section they don't have any log. They cannot find any log, any alert generated. So this is a very unique problem. So I have tested these things, but initially I was unable to find what is the solution, but later on I find the issue actually, and I will show you here how we can solve this problem. It's pretty easy and it's like pretty hilarious kind of thing. So let me show you how we can solve this problem. So to reproduce the issue, so I started with the CentOS. So let me check how we can reproduce the issue. Let's go to vulnerability detector, and now let's we have a lot of vulnerabilities. Let's go to the inventory. So inventory is generating perfectly okay, but in the event section I am not getting any logs. Okay, now let's go to the Windows machine. Let's click on the Windows machine, and I will go again to the vulnerability detection module, and here I will check the inventory. It's perfect, showing inventory. Now in the event I am also getting logs. Here the confusion comes from. So from the CentOS perspective I'm not getting anything, but in the Windows perspective I'm getting something. At least I'm getting something. So I have some similarities, differences. Now I have started researching how why it is happening, and I will show you why it is happening. Of research, I find this issue in the GitHub section. So this is acknowledged by the Wazuh also, and they consider this as a bug. Wazuh doesn't generate an alert when it finds critical vulnerability, and it is related to the version 4.12.0. So the best way, the easiest way is to upgrade to 4.13, and I will show you how it is working on 4.13. So I upgrade my machine, upgrade my Wazuh server to 4.13. Now I'm going to again the CentOS, and now let's go to the vulnerability detection module. We have a lot of vulnerabilities here. Let's go to the inventory. Inventory is generating 100% working correctly. Now let's go to the event. So see, now we are getting logs from the event section. So that means you don't need to do anything. You don't need to change any configuration. It is the bug which Wazuh acknowledged, and they fixed it in the version 4.13. So I also will trace this in the Windows machine, but definitely it will work because earlier also Windows machines working, but it will work. So this is actual issue a lot of users are facing, and you don't need to worry about. Just upgrade your system, it will work perfectly. Still, if you have any question, do let me know. I'll try to solve this. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe. Thank you.